Nathan, if you'll go ahead and start recording on your computer for me, please. We are live on YouTube now.
Excuse me. All right. We got awfully quiet, didn't we?
Mayor, you got any idea when we'll be meeting publicly?
Repeat that?
You have any idea when we will be meeting publicly?
I do not. The Alamance County has not done very well with this pandemic, and so we're maintaining this program right here, right now. We'll wait to see if we get some good numbers, I'm sure.
Well, when the time changes, are we going to have to wear a coat and tie to the virtual meeting?
I think that'd be a good idea for you to do that. You only have to wear a coat and tie. You don't have to wear anything.
Oh, no. What if I had to stand up?
I've learned from past meetings that you stand up and get away from the camera to do the Pledge of Allegiance. You don't want everybody looking at your stomach, and that's a.
I've had the same comments, Mayor.
Yep.
I've had the same comments.
So if y'all see me go completely out of the screen, let's see, the United States flag is right there. So I'll go that way. It's 5:59. We'll start. Jeff, are we all right to start? It is 6 o'clock, Jeff. Can we call the meeting to order?
Yes, sir. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Mayor.
We are ready. At 6 o'clock, we'll call our meeting to order. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the October 13th, 2020 Graham City Council meeting. For this meeting, the City of Graham is convening by Zoom video phone conference as posted on the City of Graham's website, identifying how the public may join. Due to the virus, the pandemic, this meeting is being held via Zoom platform. The meeting will be live streamed on the City of Graham's YouTube page at www.youtube.com and type in City of Graham, North Carolina. Please note this meeting is being recorded. If anyone is having technical difficulties or connection difficulties, please contact Preston Jenkins at 336-347-8674 for support. For items not on tonight's agenda, public comments to address the council at this meeting, please indicate you wish to do so by using the raise hand feature in Zoom, or if by phone, press *9, and our meeting host will notify me that you wish to speak. I am Mayor Jerry Peterman. I have confirmed that all the members in person anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members present, please respond in the affirmative. Mayor Pro Tem Chip Turner.
Present.
Councilmember Melody Wiggins.
Here.
Councilmember Jennifer Talley. Councilmember Jennifer Talley.
Here.
Councilmember, thank you, ma'am. Councilmember Ricky Hall.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Staff participants, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. City Manager Frankie Manus.
Present.
Assistant City Manager Aaron Holland.
Here.
City Attorney Brian Coleman.
Here.
City Clerk Darcy Sperry.
Here.
Planning Director Nathan Page.
Present.
Downtown Development Coordinator Mary Fawcett.
Here.
IT Systems Manager Jeff Wilson.
Here, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will start our meeting with an invocation. Would you please bow your heads as you could? Let us pray. Let us pray for all those that are in need, whether it's by health, financial, well-being, or any other concerns. Be with us tonight as we conduct the city's business. Always protect those that protect us, bring them home safe. In your heavenly name we pray. Amen. We please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next we'll go to our consent agenda. A is approval of minutes, September the 8th meeting. B is approval of tax releases. C, approved resolution authorizing conveyance of surplus gym equipment. And D, petition for voluntary contiguous annexation for 34.441 acres off of Darrell Drive. Does anyone want to pull? Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt them as read or as written.
Does anybody want to pull anyone off the consent agenda before I ask for a second? Then I ask for a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Then I poll the council. Start with the Mayor Pro Tem,
Aye.
Councilperson Melody Wiggins,
Aye.
Councilperson Jennifer Talley, Councilmember Ricky Hall,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Motion carries 4 with 1 abstaining. Next, we go to number 2, old business.
Hey, Jerry,
Yes, ma'am.
did you say somebody abstained?
Yes, I didn't get an answer from you. Would you like to vote?
No. I'm sorry. I'm speaking. I don't know why you're not hearing me. I apologize.
No problem. Then we'll rewrite that to 5-0 in favor of the consent agenda.
Maybe there's a delay or something. I don't know.
Could be. I'll wait for you next time, okay?
Sorry about that.
No
I mean,
problem.
I did answer, so I thought you heard me. I apologize.
All right, next we go to old business from the planning board. Public hearing, Cherry Creek, GPN, a whole bunch of numbers. Cherry Creek annexation ordinance for voluntary non-contiguous annexation. If anyone in attendance would like to speak during this agenda item, please indicate that you wish to do so by using the raise the hand feature in Zoom, or if by phone, press *9 to notify the host that you wish to speak. We will recognize you at the appropriate time to speak. If you're having technical difficulties, please contact Preston Jenkins at 336-347-8674 to provide your comments to be read. This time, I'd like to recognize Assistant Manager Aaron Holland, and he will present this item. Aaron, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The 70 plus or minus acre area being considered for annexation is non-contiguous. While sewer is on the lot, the applicant anticipates extending municipal water service to the location. The annexation process has multiple steps. Following a public hearing, approval of an annexation ordinance is the final step for council in the annexation process. The fiscal impact of the proposed development will vary greatly depending upon the potential conditions approved by City Council. If the lot sizes are required to be no smaller than 12,000 square feet, as recommended by Planning Board, they will cost more to serve than they will return in revenue, and therefore would not support urban services. If the northern part of the neighborhood is 5 dwelling units per acre or more, and the southern portion of the neighborhood has larger lots, a revenue balance is possible. Staff Staff is recommending denial. A portion of the subject property is within the North Carolina Commerce Park, where the city and its partners have made major investments to support large-scale development. As proposed, the density of the development does not realize the highest and best use for the property and would adversely limit the potential development of neighboring properties.
Thank you, sir. Questions for the staff? I'll start with Melody, please.
No, sir.
Ricky Hall, please.
And at this time, sir.
Jennifer, questions?
It's really difficult for me to read, but I just want to verify it's 5 feet between the homes. Is that correct?
Nathan, you have the answer for that when I don't have the site plan in front of me.
So there's too many variables given that it could be anything at this point. That's really the conditional rezoning, but there are portions of the conditional rezoning that I believe have less than 10 feet between the property boundaries.
Less than 10 feet? Did you
Yes.
say less than 10 feet?
Yes, he said less than 10 feet.
Okay, so what is the smallest section between the homes?
Yeah, that actually is on the rezoning portion of the request, which I don't have that in front of me right now. I only have the annexation part.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yeah, Nathan would have to probably share that with you because I don't have that folder with me.
Okay,
It looks like a 5-foot setback is conditioned for the development which would be an aggregate of 10 feet between the homes, minimum setback.
so 5 feet would be the smallest.
5 feet from the property line would be the minimum, which would yield a 10-foot aggregate separation between homes.
And is there any way that we can get the analysis that Nathan, or is it a group, or is it just Nathan by himself that does that analysis as to why the density needs to be a certain amount in order to recommend approval?
I didn't hear the last part.
Is there a way that we can get like his calculation of how he's formulating his analysis as to whether it has the amount of density needed in order to get a recommendation from the staff? We're not privy to get any of that information, it doesn't seem.
Nathan, you happen to have that handy?
I can pull it up. Do you want me to go through it, or Frankie, do you want to go through it?
I believe you entered the parameters, so you may be more familiar with it than I am. I did build the model in the interest of full disclosure, or most of the model anyway.
Is that based on what?
It's largely operating expenses.
But I mean, like, did you get that from the Institute of Government? Did you just make it up? Where did you get it from another city? Is this just something that you've done on your own, that you've authored yourself, or I'm just curious?
This is information taken from our own finances. It's not someone else's numbers.
So the total number of dwelling units is entered in and is a variable. And then there are some other assumptions that can be changed in the model. So for example, if you have a townhome development, the assumption is that there will be less children than if you have a single family detached development. And likewise, a single family detached development like this one is likely to have more cars than if you have, say, a group of apartments. There's a cost per capita, and then there's a cost per lane mile. So the cost per capita includes things like city council, which, if you're interested, the average citizen pays in about $3.68. And that covers the council chambers, this live YouTube video, and then all the fees and prices for the salaries that the mayor and the city council get, as well as any publications that they do. There's an administrative fee, which also has the cost per capita. IT has a cost per capita. We have a finance department, public buildings and grounds, a police department, a fire department, inspections department, traffic engineering, the garage and the warehouse, the streets and the highways, the street lights, sanitation, recreation, Grand Mevins Lake, athletic facilities, property maintenance. And then there's a non-departmental. And so what that has is all of the fees broken down across the 15,000 or so people that are in the city. And then we also have, as I said, the lane miles, which this one assumes 1.6 miles of private street, of street at $65,000 a mile to maintain. That's based on the cost that we spent last year for each mile of road that we maintained. And so this particular neighborhood has $81,250 worth of maintenance every year. And there is some offset to that from the POW bill. The POW bill offsets about a third of that. So you're looking at roughly somewhere around $50,000-ish for road maintenance. Taken all together, you make an assumption about the number of dwelling units and the persons per unit in order to come up with what the net revenue would be for the neighborhood.
Maybe I was trying to follow you there, but you said $50,000 a year just for street maintenance?
No, ma'am. I said $81,250, but it's offset some by the POW bill,
Right.
which returns $50,000 is our net expense for street maintenance.
Any other questions?
That seems awfully high for street maintenance. But if I could just, I guess if I could just see, I think it would help me to see like how you're calculating whether a subdivision. It's just interesting to me that if you were to look at the two subdivisions that were presented last month, it seems like this subdivision would have been recommended over the other subdivision. Yes, it has less density, but maybe not location wise, but as far as like what they were, when you look at the actual product that they were putting in there, it was just interesting that, you know, last month was recommended and they were recommending, you know, just 3 feet to the property line. And it seemed like there was a real push to try to put townhomes and other multifamily into this project that even the developers weren't really wanting, or the property owners that were selling it. It's just, it just seems odd to me that, and I'm sure it's coming from that cost analysis, and maybe it would help me better understand where you're coming from when you're trying to push, I want to see the consistency in what you're recommending from staff reports across the board from one development to the next. Because when I went and looked at this development, I actually went and looked at a similar development. I'm kind of surprised that you're not recommending this one, but recommending the other one. And I know we're not to that point yet, but I'm just saying like this leads into that. So it would help me to see that analysis. So I'd appreciate getting that for this project and for future projects.
I think there were other factors though that are in play that, elude us to not recommend approval for this one. This one is different than the one that we looked at with Riley's Meadow. That one, if I'm not mistaken, isn't in the NCCP, where only a portion of this one is outside of the NCCP. So that plays a big part in our decision, as well as there are challenges that the other one had with the streams, which we're only allotted a certain number of creek crossings. And, there are other properties that would better utilize those creek crossings than using it for Riley Meadows. So Riley Meadows was a different subdivision than, how we looked at it than this one.
Right. All I'm saying, I'm not saying that I disagree with staff at all. I'm just saying that, you guys are privy to information, and then you're coming to us and saying, well, we're not recommending approval based on this information, and we don't have access to that information. That's all I'm saying. I think it would help us better on the council to actually see your analysis and how you arrived at your recommendation, and also to ensure that it's being consistently applied, across the spectrum. So that's my only comment. I'm finished.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Mayor Pro Tem.
Nathan, for clarification, that $80,000 a year is per mile is just an average of all our streets. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And that would count curb and gutter, sidewalk, storm sewer.
Right. Of course, this will be a new street, so it probably won't be that much first few years, I'm sure. But that's
promise
just
it'll be
going
that
by.
much within the time of the city.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this annexation is just for 21 acres. Is that correct?
No, it's for 70 acres total. 21 was for one of the properties of the 5. So
Okay.
total. Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right. Now, staff's recommending denial. If we deny this annexation, it kills the whole project. Is that correct?
If I'm not mistaken, we're unable to zone any portion that's not within the city. So I think a portion of it is within our ETJ, and then a portion, I believe, is in the county. Which, if it's not annexed in, then we can't zone county property unless it's in our ETJ.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Nathan, how close was this to meeting the numbers that it would take for y'all to have said yes on this as far as the staff goes?
With the additional density, it is very close to a break-even subdivision.
Yeah, we worked hard on this, and then we also, the builders came back several times wanting to meet the qualifications that you set forth, but it looks like we still didn't do that. So, okay. With that, then we will open the public hearing. So if you want to speak on this, please raise your hand or hit *9, and we'll open the public hearing. Have you got anybody, Jeff?
Yes, sir. I have Mike Owens.
Okay.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Mr. Owens. Let's have your name and address, please, sir.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is Michael Owens. My address is 3545 Dixon Road in Durham.
Yes, sir.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. I appreciate everyone's time, and also wanted to thank residents and participants for their input in the process. I'm speaking on behalf of the applicants, that is Meritage Homes. I lead their land acquisitions. So anyways, I wanted to start off by providing a little bit of background on Meritage, who again is the applicants. Just briefly, the company was founded in 1985, and one of our original founders, Steve Hilton, is still our CEO. One of the things we really focus on, builders don't historically brand themselves terribly well. Among other things, what we really differentiate with is we're really the gold standard in energy efficiency. We've actually built over 50,000 Energy Star homes, which is by far the lead in the country. We've actually been the Energy Star Partner of the Year for the past 6 years. So it's something that we really, frankly, it's important to us, and we really brand ourselves and kind of differentiate based on that. We're saving our consumers money. We're reducing the environmental impacts. We're producing cleaner air and a quieter, more quality home. And just so you guys know, homes in the community that we're proposing would actually be Energy Star certified. One other thing just to differentiate, our Raleigh division, we have over a 90% Avid rating, which is essentially an objective measure for customer satisfaction. So we really do build a quality home and think we can raise the bar and bring something differentiated to the market. One other thing, just again, to differentiate versus some other proposals, we develop nearly all of our communities. We are the builder here, so it's not zoning conditions or prospective products. Ms. Callie mentioned earlier reference to our communities. I believe she's actually been to one of them, but we really do build a quality home. You can see what we build. We referenced a site in Apex called Deer Creek. It is somewhat similar to this. The amenity we would be building would be similar. So you really have a playbook to look at. And then similarly, you know who you're dealing with. Ultimately, you know the product, you know me, you know the folks on our side. So it's much cleaner from a communication perspective. And then specific to the proposed site, we've been working on this property for nearly a year. We've been excited about the Graham market, a number of things that you guys are all aware of, but proximity to jobs, job growth, access to the highway and to transportation corridors, water and sewer to the site. As these new jobs are coming, we really do think we can provide some much needed and in-demand new construction housing. There's certainly existing housing stock, but a lot of buyers want new construction, and we really do think we bring something differentiated. And frankly, now with this revised plan, have two different products to meet the markets. Home builders ultimately have a variety of community sizes. We really do try to differentiate by doing larger sites where you have enough scale to do a community as opposed to a subdivision. Really, a lot of times that comes down to amenities and a number of factors. But here, with our revised proposal, about 188 homes, we have enough scale to have a true amenity, again, similar to our Deer Creek community in Apex, which includes a pool. We have great natural amenities, a significant preserved open space. So the site plan itself, we obviously look at a variety of land plans and proposed communities. This site is nearly 50% open space. And honestly, that's the highest I can recall working on. And obviously a lot of that land is preserved open space because of wetland area and because of the river. But really, you think about the amount of impact versus the amount of land you're actually preserving and not having to have physical impact too. I think that's a great thing. And it is also in line with our core values as a green builder. And then this in addition to proximity to the park and a lot of the area's natural amenities. Again, two different housing types. As we're building a community, I think having a variety of options is impactful. And then many of these lots will be backing up to that preserved area. So these will be nicer premium, what we call perimeter lots. So in closing, I really do believe in our company. We are a great building partner where you truly know who you're dealing with. We really do bring the highest standard among any large builder in terms of green building and passing that on in savings and an environmental impact to our buyers and to the community. And then also, frankly, we have the capital and horsepower to really execute here. We're not going anywhere. We are a well-capitalized public firm. When we start this, we will finish it. Which, as it relates to the amenity and a number of things, I think having a group commit to doing what they say they will is very important. And I know that we believe in the community. And then again, ultimately, the folks that you're dealing with, myself, Gray, and our team, and we would love to work with you on this. So that's it on behalf of me and Meritage, but obviously, whether it's me or my team, we'd be happy to answer any additional questions.
Thank you, sir. If you don't mind answering the question, Mr. Owens, let's go to Ricky Hall, please.
I have none at this time.
The Mayor Pro Tem.
No question. No question.
Ms. Talley.
Questions?
Melody, please.
None at this time, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Owen. We appreciate your time, sir.
Absolutely.
Jeff, have you got anybody else that wants to speak?
Yes, sir, sure do.
Okay.
Next one's gonna be Tony Tate. Mr. Tate, you've been unmuted. Go ahead.
Mr. Tate, give us your name and address if you would, please, sir.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Tony Tate. I'm a landscape architect and land planner with TMT LA Associates in Durham. Our address is 5011 South Park Drive in Durham. The annexation that we have before you tonight is obviously in association with a master plan and conditional rezoning request. And, you know, we need this portion of the project to be approved to move forward with the subdivision. And so I know we've made significant changes to the plan to try and get the density to where staff is comfortable with that. And we thought we were there. And so we would like to maybe get a little more feedback as to where we need to be. That northern section from the city property out to Cherry Lane is about 5.7 units to the acre within the developable area. And so when it comes to density, we are at a disadvantage and an advantage in the same light when we have so much floodplain that is on both sides of the property that cannot be developed. You know, that's really hindering our potential for density in that area. And so, you know, it's great for us to have open space as a buffer to adjoining neighbors. It seems to be a detriment in trying to get the site to a density level that staff would be comfortable with. So again, we made some changes to the previous submittal to try to get that density up, and we thought we were at a point where everybody was comfortable with it. So we just would like to again ask for your consideration for this annexation, because we are really interested in providing this product to the city of Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Tate? Then Jeff, have we got anyone else? Jeff, have we got anybody else that wants to speak?
Yes, sir, we do. Next one on the list is Andrew Cagle. And Andrew, state your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Cagle. I live at 1322 North Jim Minor Road, Graham. I have a couple of comments. That one, I greatly appreciate everyone on the council and their staff for all they do. I also want to thank Meritage for all the work that they've done. I think it's important to note how much this company has worked with the city of Graham staff to provide a product for you to look at. This is a wonderful company. Our company, our family would have not went with this company if we didn't think they provided a solid product. And it's such a solid product that I hope that they're able to build on this land, because I will be a potential buyer. I say this because with my job, I need Interstate 40 and 85 very close. I was in Wilmington the last 2 days. I just got home an hour ago, and tomorrow morning I leave for Asheville. This is a wonderful place to live because it gives me a central location in the state. I am not an economist, but I'll say this, when it comes to the cost for the city, which barely maybe just shy of break even or right at the break even point, something I was thinking that came to my mind is maybe there's indirect economic benefits of people who live here who are purchasing within the city of Graham, who are using their buying power within downtown Graham. So maybe you're not able to collect or buy or have a formula where some of these families could be using their purchasing income inside the city. That could be maybe possibly push you above your break-even cost analysis. Those are just my 2 cents. But I'm open to any questions if you have any, but those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cagle. Any questions for Mr. Cagle? Then let me go back to Jeff. Jeff, have you got anyone else?
Yes, sir, we do. Stephanie Ward. Stephanie, you've been unmuted. Go ahead. State your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Ward. I'm on 2072 Jimmy Kerr Road in Graham.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you?
Doing great. Good to see you. Well, good to hear you.
Okay. My concern is that once this has gone through annexation, every time I've seen this plan, there has been an increase in dwelling units. When the planning board turned it down, that was because they were too close together. It seems that the houses, instead of going with the planning board, the developer has gone the other way. There are now more. I think at one point, Mr. Owens mentioned 180. Was it 180, 280? That's way more than starting. So at what point is there going to be a cap to that? The other question is that, or the other thing that Mr. Cagle mentioned was the buying power. Just from the geographical location of this, a lot of the people will be shopping in Mebane. And I hate to say that, but it's going to be easier for them to get to Mebane than it is to go through Graham. It's going to be quicker for the same facilities. So that's the tricky thing to take into consideration. So I really don't know if there's anything that can be done to limit the amount of houses, but it does seem that, like I said before, each time everything is mentioned, there's an increase instead of a decrease, as the planning board had mentioned. So that's really all I have to say for that. Thank you.
I will try to answer one of your questions. The one about going to Mebane, I can't answer. This is a choice that people will make. But as far as the density goes, they're trying to go into a place that we have invested a lot of money into, and that is the industrial park. And to do that, it's got to be very dense to get the money back that we would have invested, the city of Graham has invested, also Mebane and also the county. So that would answer you that question. Next we'll go, Jeff, we got anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Gary, can I say something or ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
If we can just address what Ms. Ward asked about, initially when this developer came, how many units were they looking at putting in?
The numbers, I don't know. Aaron, have you got those numbers, or Nathan?
Or I'm sure Tony Tate could answer that question.
Tony Tate has raised his hand. He may have that answer if you want me to promote him.
Please do.
Go ahead, Mr. Tate. You've been unmuted.
Yes, the original proposal was for 175 units. And so, in meeting with staff, we knew there wants to be for us to be able to get the unit count higher so that it would work better within the numbers and the efficiencies they're looking for the town. And so as a result of that conversation with staff, we increased the number of units to 188 to try to get the northern section in alignment with what the staff was looking for. And so that's where the current plan is. And, if there's a number we need to try to hit to get that lot count up, we just like to know what it is. We've invested a lot of time and money in this project in the city, and we want to be here. And so
so I appreciate that very much, Tony Tate. If you could just stay on the line for a minute, because I have a couple of things that, it's really difficult for developers. I mean, I'm a developer myself, and I feel like, you've got a city council that makes a final decision, and then you've got staff that are telling you consistencies with what they're looking for, which may not be consistent with what maybe a city councilman feels. So I like less density. And even if that's going to cost the city more, I would much rather have a better development with a better quality product than I would have a bunch of houses all crammed together, because it's going to bring in more revenue to the city. I don't feel that way. And so it is it's frustrating to me because it seems like, the city staff is advocating for something that me as a city council person don't necessarily agree with. And so I understand their concerns about you being in the industrial park. Is there, like, how much of your project is in the industrial park, and is it a possibility that you could only do a project without that section that would both satisfy their city staff and then build a quality project within the area that was, I was on the city council 10 years ago when we put in all the utilities to try to develop this property. And it was at that time, we were wanting residential development out there. So, how things have changed, now you're about to turn down a residential development because we want to protect the industrial park, which I get. I understand. I think all of those points are very valid. But I get frustrated when it seems like it's all about the money. And as a citizen of Graham, I'm happy with paying. Like, they act like you can't, I hear this argument all the time. Well, why should we subsidize new development coming in? And I'm like, would you rather have a quality development coming in and not have houses 3 foot apart or even 5 foot apart? I would. I'm sorry, but that's my stance on it. So as a council member, I'm only one vote on this council. I don't know how the remainder of the council feels, but I'm more for quality than quantity. I agree with Ms. Ward that I have concerns that, we do send developers mixed messages. We have, a 2025 plan that says one thing, and we've got 2 very similar developments and 2 different recommendations. And it's just, and if you were to look at the developments just on the merit of what you're getting, this is the nicer development, I would argue. But maybe it's not in the location that the city staff want. But ultimately, we are elected by the citizens of Graham to try to make the best decisions that we can. And sometimes the city council does not agree with the city staff. So it's really difficult. I can appreciate the position that you're in because you're trying to satisfy everybody. Is there a possibility that you could still do your development in the area that is not in the industrial park, or is that, like, the way it's subdivided, that's not an option?
Am I still unmuted?
Yes,
You are.
sir.
Okay, the portion I believe they're talking about is the 16-acre portion that's on the east side or the northeast side of the property next to Cherry Lane, and it starts to get the lot numbers for us down to a point where, it needs to be a certain number of units on the site to be able to make that happen, and so we'd be cutting off a large portion of that where you see the green square. Most of those lots on that side would go away, and you'd basically have one street that traversed through the property. And so I just feel like we've added product, and again, like you say, we're trying to make everybody happy here. The quality of the product, by going to a smaller lot and gaining lots, the quality of the product is not any less. They're a little bit smaller, obviously, to get on a smaller lot, but we're confident that the product we're putting out there is a great product. It's a quality product, and it's going to be a neighborhood that the city's going to be proud of. And so, again, we're trying to figure out how to satisfy everybody, I guess.
Okay, so it's basically, and how much of the industrial park, how much of I guess he said that there's a lot of flood plain in that area. What what in acreage, Nathan, would that be taking out from the industrial park?
We could calculate the exact acreage, but it's kind of like asking, are you taking all of the heart or half of the heart? The city has received a development proposal that included the parcel in question on it for an industrial parcel. And then it's my understanding that more recently, I'm not sure if it was Graham or Mebane, but there was a receipt of industrial project that said the proximity to existing residential was a deal breaker for them. And that one came in, if I remember right, sometime in the last, certainly between the last city council meeting and this city council meeting. And so as a percentage of the total park, it's relatively small. However, it impacts the largest contiguous developable parcel within the North Carolina Commerce Park on the city of Graham side.
Okay, and you know what? You should have just led with that, Nathan, in my opinion. I mean, the disclose, we need to have full disclosure. I mean, this is the reason why they don't want it residential. They have another buyer for that, another potential developer for that property. And I mean, possibly, it's like, we have to take into considerations people's property rights, owner rights as to who they want to sell it to and what they want to have there. The city of Graham and the city staff does not own that property. The people that are deeded that property own it. So they can sell it to whoever they want to sell it and have whatever they want to have on there. I understand the needs for the industrial park, but why did not anyone go to the sellers of the property and negotiate that so that they wouldn't waste this developer's time and trying to put together a residential development there that is not what the city wants? And I just feel bad that this developer spent all this time and energy trying to put something forward to us, and we're gonna say no to him, to not only the developer but also to the owners. And I'm not saying that saying no is the wrong thing. What I'm saying is, like, why did you let it get this far? Why didn't you talk to the owners and make sure that you had that in that development part so that everybody's on the same page?
All right. Any other questions, Jennifer?
Nope.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Next, Melanie, please.
Yes, sir. There are a few things I heard from the last 15 or 20 minutes that we've spent talking about this. There are a few things, and I'll probably end with Frankie at the end. But, you know, one of the things I want to point out is in her tenure on this council, city council, Jennifer Talley has never voted for a subdivision yet. So saying some of those things today are all points that have been brought up before, and she has not voted. So to say or give anyone the impression that she is actually for these would be a misrepresentation. However, the other question, more importantly, are a few things that have come up with this property. One is I keep hearing, we get callers in and they talk about people shopping in Mebane versus in Graham. Let me state, because I think there's a very unclear understanding about that. We get sales tax from the county. It's by the county. It's not, if you purchase in Graham, it stays in Graham. It is, if you purchase within the county, it is all doled out by municipality and by your population. So we all do receive those monies regardless of whether you shop in Graham, whether you shop in Mebane, or whether you shop in Elon. We all receive that benefit. So shopping local means we really want people shopping within the county. The one statement that keeps coming up in the last few minutes was talking about, you know, the staff acts like they're keeping and holding information. Let me tell you that after all these years that anytime you have a question that the city staff is not withholding information, the city staff is there for you to call and ask those questions. So Ms. Talley could have gotten that information at any time, essentially, if she called and asked those questions specifically. So there is not any information that's been withheld from the public or from this city council. The thing about the NCCP is, yes, it is in their development. We do have some interest in there for potential. When we first started talking about this, I spoke with some folks about this project, and the thing was, it had to be dense enough to be able to be feasible so that the city did not continue to lose money on these developments. We know that if there are light industrial projects or industry coming into this section, that they are concerned about sight and smell when we get into these sections. And so having housing developments very close to them is a real major concern. But when we spoke to these folks earlier in my speaking was, you got to make this feasible, okay? The city, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it shows in the minutes that the planning board actually did approve this project with conditions. However, their conditions were that they couldn't be any smaller, the lots couldn't be any smaller than 12,000 square feet, which throws it all back into out the door for the density that we actually need. So, that didn't help us, but my seeing of what the minutes were from those meetings is that they did approve it, but they had several conditions that I think don't meet what the city believes we can do without having to run this project, put this project in the red. So that would be my concern. And Frankie can better speak to that, I presume. If you would like to, Frankie, speak about those things that we've discussed, of people coming into that area, part of the industrial park and what's being looked at, and making it worthwhile so that the city doesn't lose money. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Frankie, do you want to add to that?
I would actually like to add a couple things. I would point the council to page 19 of the agenda packet. We're in the fiscal impact, and I believe Mr. Holland covered this, that we've talked about the fiscal impact a great deal. And as the staff report will indicate, the changes the developer made has gotten us to a point where we believe there's a revenue balance. So in other words, we're telling you guys that, okay, it's to a point where it will work. It will support urban services. The actual recommendation is based on proximity and less about cost. Aaron wrote the staff report. He may be able to elaborate a little more, but sort of the bigger issue is we're talking about development on the fringe of the city. We're talking about development into area that we do not have zoning control. You're talking about a prerequisite to zoning, which is annexation. So there's risk for the property owner, there's risk for the city. So when there's development like this, we need to all be in concert. And that's staff, that's planning board, that's city council, so that minimizes risk. We have concerns about proximity to the industrial park. The landowner, of course, doesn't want property annexed that maybe the zoning's not approved for. That's a risk to the owner. In many cases, when we've had similar developments, it's been very much in concert. We understand that development per our comprehensive plan requires a certain level of density, particularly when you get to the commerce park or the employment zone, which is what drives us to make recommendations on land use matters. But then we have the practical analysis of what's it cost to support urban services. And so the recommendation from the planning board actually took us further away from being able to support urban services. So there's a fundamental question of, one, does this property look, feel like, and support urban services or a city, or does it not? And then the secondary question is, this is in an industrial area. How does this impact the industrial area? Several questions to be answered. And there's great risk moving forward with an annexation when there are unanswered questions. And the landowners would get a tax bill in the next few weeks for property that may or may not have a rezoning approved later in the agenda. One more point, we actually still have some public comments for the public hearing that
We'll get back to that. Yes, sir. Okay, Jeff, who's next, please?
Michael White. Michael White, you have been unmuted. State your name and address, please, sir.
Good evening. Can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. White, it's good to hear from you again.
Yes, Michael White, 5500 Tillery Lane, Gastonia, North Carolina, 28056. In the spirit of Mr. Mayor and Ms. Wiggins and Frankie's comments, and Tony Tate, actually, Mike Owens too, I might add, in that spirit of whether or not this project can move forward, I came prepared as a landowner to be coming before you as excited tonight to attend the meeting in support of the project by Meritage. They are known locally in North Carolina, nationally, as has been said, and a company which provides multi-types of housing opportunities with the total neighborhood concept in mind. We landowners provided a letter to all of you earlier in the summer, which offered information about the development interest in the Hallfields area, an area prime for development originally due to its location. But now in 2020, we found ourselves at a crossroads. Not only is our project and property ideally located as before, but is accompanied by new utilities nearby, a new lift station with excess capacity, new municipal park, which now can be completed, 2 new schools within a 2-mile radius of the Meritage vision. And today, I think I read on the governor of North Carolina's website that UPS has proudly announced their decision to locate a facility in the North Carolina Commerce Park within a mile of the Meritage site. Meritage recognized the critical needs for housing offered by Cherry Creek. UPS only makes it more important to the area. Meritage Homes and the landowners have invested heavily in time and resources to provide a plan, the type of which is defined in the Graham 2035 Comprehensive Plan. We're proud to offer this plan tonight and ask for your support. As stated in the Graham Plan, it will provide a compact, walkable, diverse, and connected community of which Graham can be proud. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council.
Thank you, Mr. White. Jeff, have you got anyone else?
Angela Willis. Angela, you've been unmuted. State your name and address, please.
Hi, yes, thank you. I'm Angela Willis, 1408 North Jim Minor Road, Hall River, North Carolina.
Willis.
Hello.
I said, welcome, ma'am.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. So I just would like to make a few comments here. I also am concerned about the density of the development. This will be directly behind my home. I would just really like to ask the council to consider how this development is going to affect existing landowners, homeowners, existing citizens. And I would like to take the time to thank Jennifer Talley, because I do think she is concerned about how this is affecting landowners, existing landowners. I think it's way too many houses to be put back there. Too many, 4 houses per acre or more than that per acre. And then the traffic is a concern of mine. There is no exit ramps off of Cherry Lane Road onto the interstate. And I know for me, in the mornings and in the evenings, trying to get on the interstate either through the ACC exit or through the 54 exit is very, very challenging. Lots and lots of traffic back up through there, especially on the 54. going into Graham and trying to get on the interstate through there. It's really, really hard. We already have a road that is blocked off. Jimmy Carr Road is not in operation on one end, on my end of the road. And that is because we've had, the road was flooded and the drain was broken, and that has not even been fixed as of yet. And I'm pretty sure it's been going on a year. So for me directly, what I would really like to ask is that I live on, the other side of the creek. Directly on the other side of the creek is a hill that's a pretty steep hill that leads up, and I own that piece of property, and it leads up into the field where all of this developing is going to be. And I already, without any development on that land, I already have flooding into my backyard from the creek. Not only in my backyard, but again, like I mentioned, the flooding that has happened that has torn out Jimmy Carr Road. And then property that is beside me, adjacent to me, floods very badly as well. And my concern, for me as a landowner and a homeowner, property owner personally, is what is that going to do to me? How much more flooding am I going to have? How much runoff? Is all of that, has all of that been considered, and is that resolved? And will I not be affected by any of that? Because I already get, more flooding than I feel. I'm already get a lot of flooding with no building back there as it is. So, I would just like to ask that you all consider that, and consider how all this is affecting existing landowners and homeowners. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Jeff, you've got anyone else?
Tony Tate has his hand raised, but I believe he's already spoke.
Okay, we'll wait and see if there's anyone else.
No, sir, that's it.
Let's go back to Mr. Tate. I'm sure he wants to answer the flooding question.
Yes, sir. And one other thing I wanted to clear up, there was a question earlier about the side yard setbacks and the minimum distance between homes.
Yes,
and
sir.
So the plan proposes a 5-foot minimum side yard setback, so there would not be any homes located within 10 feet of each other. So it matches the setbacks that were presented and approved on the previous project across the creek.
Would you speak to Mrs. Willis's concern about the flooding, please?
Yes. So we have shown stormwater management facilities on the site that will capture and detain the stormwater, and so that it's not released into that back creek or the other stream at a rate any greater than what is being done now. So, we are addressing those, and those are state requirements that we have to adhere to. And so we are going to be maintaining and mitigating the stormwater.
Thank you, sir. With that other question we had with the bridge, the washout in Jimmy Carr, I think we had the same question last month. So the staff has a report on that. So let's go ahead and get rid of that right now. Frankie, have you got that information?
We did reach out to NCDOT to inquire. It's my understanding they have identified funding for the project, which is a good sign, but that doesn't indicate exactly when the repair will be made. So some good news, but the actual answer of when the road will be reopened still escapes us.
One of the things, Jerry, that I would like to address is that I did talk to DOT as well, and had asked if it was a possibility that the city of Graham could front the money with a payback from DOT. And they said that that was not something out of the realm of possibility. Is that something that we could look at? Let's repair it at our cost, and then at some, or with our resources, and then have DOT reimburse us at some later time, just so that we can go ahead and get the project done.
We can talk about that separate from this this rezoning right here. We need to stick on point on this. My opinion would be that we would probably not want to go out in the county and spend funds even with a payback from the county. That's probably not what the city of Graham needs to do. But that's just my opinion. Let's go back to Jeff. Jeff, have we got anybody else?
No, sir. That's it.
Go to Darcy Sperry. Darcy, have you got any emails or any phone calls that you need to talk about?
For this item, sir.
Okay, then we will close the public hearing at this time, and we'll talk among ourselves. We'll talk among the council. So what does everyone think? This really troubles me that we let these guys do all this work, and then the staff was not in favor of it, even with the added density. But I do see the staff's recommendation or lack of as very important. To put money into this as a losing proposition is not what the city of Graham can do. It means that every citizen in Graham ends up paying a part of this development. It just does not seem proper to me. But anyway, what does everybody else think?
Mayor, I kind of agree with you. I wish, they put a lot of work in this, and they've gone back and they've done everything we've asked them to do.
Yes. I agree with you there. They have. They've come back with a denser, which would really put some people in our park, which is right across the way from it. And we knew going into building that park, we said it was going to be like a mushroom field the whole time, that we were going to have houses. We were going to have a lot of houses that was going to really flood the place. What does everybody else think?
I'm surprised it took this long.
Me too.
I'd like to, address two things that Melody said. The only developments that we've had that have been before us have, been multifamily and developments in which there is a density in which this city has never historically ever had. So, you've got one development, Challenge Golf Course, that they did that at, and, we've never had anything in that scale that crammed houses together. So yes, did I vote against subdivisions? I've been on the council since I got back not even a year, and I'm being criticized about that. But I find, what I find is that I'm going to vote the way that I think the majority of the citizens will vote. And my perception from the citizens is that they are tired of the huge volume of multifamily developments that the city of Graham is passing. I'm listening to the people. I'm going to vote with the people. You want to know how I'm going to vote on something? Go ask a bunch of citizens, because that's how I'm going to vote. So I find it, my frustration is that how can we work with developers like this developer, get him whatever land that we need to get him. If that's not in the industrial park and we want to save that, then why are we not making commitments with those landowners to make sure that that doesn't happen, so that this gentleman doesn't waste his time or energy? Because when you're telling this developer to increase the density, that's making me not want to vote for the project. So he's trying to do what the staff is wanting, which is not what I'm wanting. I'd rather have a quality development. So if you want me to vote for a development, by all means, I am happy to vote for a development. Bring me a quality development and I will be the first one to make a motion to approve it. I think these people do build quality homes. I like what I saw that they had. And I like the fact that when people had complaints about homes, which you're going to have when you have a large development go in, they went and fixed it. It's not so much that you're going to always have a developer that never is going to have a problem. That's not rational. They do seem to go in and stand by their word, and I think that's very important to me. So why could we not pivot and shift this developer to land that is available in Graham and him bring us a quality development? But why does it have to? It just seems like my argument, Melody, about I'm not saying that the staff won't give me information. I have asked for information in the past, and I'm just saying, if you're going to base your staff recommendation on XYZ. Can we see that and be privy to that and know what that is? Because I'll be honest with you, the citizens of Graham aren't sitting there doing that calculation. The citizens of Graham want us to pass developments based on traffic impact, which I did not hear the staff mention or say is considered in their analysis. Water runoff, school impact, the closeness of the homes together. I'm on the city council to represent the people. So, I mean, it's very important to me to be able to have those answers for citizens when we're looking at development. So I feel like this development has got way too many homes. I think the other development, 393 homes in a 70-acre tract, this is what, 175? And you voted for the other one and not this one? That's what's kind of blowing my mind. And I think, when you just look at it from just the scale, it seems very concerning to me. I think citizens of Graham want to get away from multifamily. We had over 2,000, I think, homes, units that were passed before I got on the council. And I think citizens want to have these really nice quality developments brought into Graham. And I'd love to be able to try to work with Mr. Tate to try to make sure that happens, if not on this property, on another property. But as far as this goes, I do think that we need to work with the landowners to protect the industrial park. And I just hate that he has wasted so much time and energy to get to this point. I think we should have directed him in a different way long before he's gotten to this part.
Anyone else got anything to add?
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me point back out a few things too. One, Jennifer, we've had 5 days. So the questions and trying to get the information from the manager that you needed, certainly we had enough time to do that. But beyond that point, regardless, let me talk about this. This family who has this property and the rights of the landowner are often topics that I've talked about, and the rights of the landowners on many developments that we've had. I too am representing the people, however we all are. The difference is there is something called vision and long-term thinking. And because of what someone may want today may not be because they have the full understanding of what may or may not happen in the future. Everything today is going to affect something in the next numerous years. And so we have to be thinking about that in a long-term aspect, not today, not what everybody thinks today. Sometimes the best things for the public are not what they think it is for right this moment. And that,
oh my God.
Excuse me.
Jennifer,
stop acting like a child. All right, here we go. Okay. So here's the thing. These landowners are terrific people. They have done numerous things for the city. If there's a way for us to work together to find out how we can help them, I am number one on that list. I have worked with them before. I think they are a tremendous group. They've done a lot for the city, and I would love to find out how we can do it. I have no argument about the quality of the project that we see before us. Absolutely not. I believe it is a fine project. I just believe that our issues today are with that industrial park and trying to bring the city out in a positive nature. So my thing is there a way, Andrew, Tony, Mike, is there a way that we can work together with you somehow? I am concerned about, there are other properties out there as well. What can we do to try to bring this together? If we tabled it, can we bring something back that we can work with? You've spent a great deal of time already, and I appreciate that fact. You've done what we asked you to do. I just think it's we're barely trying to break even. We're not in the black, and I've said that from the beginning. I would love to see if there's some other way we can work with this family to make this happen for them.
I love how she denigrates landowners, that they're so uneducated and so disconnected that she knows what's best for them. That is a typical politician, and what is wrong with government today, you thinking that you know what's best for someone else. I totally disagree with that. I don't agree with that mandate. I'll never think that I am so smart that I know what's best for somebody who owns their property. It's their right to do what they want to with their property. And developers need to have all of the information so that they can make sure that they're putting their time and resources and efforts into a project that's actually going to get passed. That was my whole point. You trying to personally attack me for some I don't know motive that you have. I have no idea. I am literally trying to advocate for both the developer who spent a lot of time and energy, and also for the citizens of Graham. And it just seems that when we're trying to explain to citizens about why we're agreeing to a project or not agreeing to the project, we need to actually address the issues that they're concerned about. And it isn't about money. It isn't about how much the city spends on street maintenance. It's about how is this going to flood my property? Is this going to cause school impact? Is this going to cause all these other things that I discussed? You know, just be a voice of the people instead of a voice for the staff. The staff is not elected by the citizens. We're elected by the citizens to do what they want, not to tell them what to do. That's not our role in government.
Anyone else want to say anything about this? If
Mr.
not,
Mayor, I think the applicant wanted to speak again if you want to give them the opportunity, but as you're aware, they already spoke once.
who is it, please?
Mike Owens and Tony Tater both have their hands raised.
This was going on all night. Let's go to Mr. Tate.
Mr. Mayor, I'll be brief. Again, we've spent a lot of time and a lot of money, and we do want to provide the city with a profitable and great community. And if there's an opportunity to continue this for a month to try to come up with a plan that is going to be more successful, we would like that opportunity to come back and try to work out some of these things with staff and with you, council, to make this a project that you'll be happy with and the community as well.
Mr. Tate, you're speaking for the entire group?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll poll the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we allow Mr. Tate and his group to continue this or table this until such time as they're ready to bring it back.
I have a motion. Any discussion? Then I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. All in favor, say aye. I'll poll the council. I'll start with Mayor Pro Tem. Unmute yourself, please, sir.
Sorry, Mayor. I agree with that.
Okay. Let's go to Melody, please.
Aye.
Ricky Hall.
Aye.
Jennifer Talley.
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. Mr. Tate, I'm sorry we're wasting your time. Let's get together in the next month and see what we can do, sir. So let me go to the staff. What does that do? That makes us move away from the rest of the that, I believe.
I would make a recommendation that we table item 2A, 2 and 2B pursuant to the same.
I will make that motion. I need a second.
Second.
I'll poll the council. Start with the Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Melody, please.
Aye.
Ricky, please.
Yes.
Jennifer, please.
Aye.
And I vote aye also. Good. Let's move on. Next we go. Let's thank everybody for being here with us. Yes.
I'm not sure. We may have to, since we closed the public hearing on the annexation, we may have to go back and give notice on that. Since the hearing was closed. I just want to bring that up. I'm not absolutely sure, but I'll check on that.
Okay, and we'll let the staff know that means we'd have to advertise it and all this stuff. So let's do that.
Possibly. I just want to double check. I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Next, we go to number 3, requesting petitions from the citizens. This has been pulled tonight. Request from Sylvester Allen on the Sesquicentennial Park. So we'll move to number 4, boards and commissions and appointments. We have one opening on the Historic Resources Commission. The vacancy expires 2021. Last time what we did, we let everybody make nominate someone, and then we went back and voted, and the high votes got it. So let's start with the Mayor Pro Tem. Have you got a nomination, sir?
Matthew Haley.
Matthew Haley. I'll go to Melody. Have you got one?
Matthew Haley.
Jennifer Talley, please.
Stephen West.
Ricky Hall.
Stephen West.
I'll decide this then, won't I? I'll go with Stephen West, and we'll put that to rest. We'll just do that right then. We'll have, I think we need to vote though. All in favor of Matthew Haley. I'll poll the council. Chip Turner, please.
Aye.
Melody Wiggins.
Aye.
Ricky Hall.
No.
Jennifer Talley.
No.
And I'll vote no. Stephen West. Mayor Pro Tem.
Nay.
Melody Wiggins.
No.
Ricky Hall.
Yes.
Jennifer Talley.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So Stephen West will replace the term that expires 2021. Issues not on tonight's agenda. Jeff, have you got anyone?
Mr. Mayor, if you'll read the little comment, please.
The agenda, hold on just one second. There's a few things. All right. If anyone in attendance would like to speak during this public comment period, please indicate you wish to do so by using the raise hand feature on Zoom, or if by phone, press *9 to notify the host you wish to speak. We ask that you please state your name, address, and topic for the record. You'll be given 4 minutes to speak. I'll ask the city clerk if received any written comments, and if so, please read them now. Darcy, have you?
No, sir, I haven't.
Jeff, have you got anybody live?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
First one to speak is Greg Drumright. Please state your name and address, sir.
Good evening, Gregory Drumright, 4 Oliver Court, Greensboro, North Carolina.
Reverend Drumright, welcome, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Peterman, to the rest of the council, and to the city staff. Thank you all for welcoming me to the meeting tonight. Again, I'm Reverend Drumright, a former resident raised in Alamance County, now residing in Greensboro. However, the Drumrights still occupy both Burlington and Graham municipalities. I am seeking council approval for our request, Justice for the Next Generation Coalition, to convene the I Am Change March to the Polls upon North Main Street in the city of Graham. Since you all may be familiar with the coalition from our presence there on July the 11th, earlier this summer, where we convened a march on the streets from Burlington into Graham. And since that time, the rules have changed and how these types of city requests are approved. So what we are seeking is not any form of a reduction in our ability to occupy the streets, because as it was in July, there will be a very large presence of people from all sides of the community. And in that interest, I want to uplift facts that came out of July 11th. Though we were accused of being a threat to the business community in Graham, no business was harmed. In fact, businesses were patronized, those that remained open as a result of our presence. We were also accused of bringing destruction to Graham property. However, not one establishment was impeded upon, nor was there any destruction to any property during our march. And it was also said and presumed that we would be bringing violence, that we would be bringing guns and weapons. However, there was no display or demonstration of violence or weaponry. In fact, our marchers were by far and in large a peaceful group. And even though this march that we convened in July, as well as the one that we will convene coming up on October the 31st, is in support of the demands before you and the commission to bring the monuments down. We are, in fact, a very peaceful group. We use our feet as weapons and our voice as weapons, and not any form of any other weaponry. We also represent a large group within the community. There was over 1,200 people from all sides of the community that gathered there. It would be a hazard. It would actually be dangerous for us to march a large group of people on sidewalks. It would actually, because this is a family event, and there will be children and people of all ages, including seniors, it would actually cause more problems for your city police force to try to contain such a large amount of people to the sidewalks. Therefore, I am told that this has to come before the council for a vote. And so I am asking if you all would please consider allowing our group to march in the streets. And I would like to know when that vote would take place, and if it could take place tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Drumright. I would like to commend you on the past march in July. It went really well until of course, we had some clashes with both groups around the Sesquicentennial Park, but there was no destruction. There was no harm done. But I do need to move this to the staff. As you said in your opening thing, that we have changed our rules. But one rule still stands, is that anything that we vote on has to come before the council in the agenda, which the deadline is last Wednesday. So let me move this to Frankie and see if there's some way that we can move it to the police department and do something for him. Frankie, if you would.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been privy to some correspondence about the event. I won't say I'm on the inside as far as the exact plans, but Reverend Drumright is correct. The rules have changed. In fact, with the initial outreach for the march in July, I believe it was, there is no rules now. Our police department was formerly empowered to, by ordinance, to grant permits for parades and demonstrations. As we all know, that ordinance has been repealed. My best recommendation, since at the heart of this is public safety, is to refer Mr. Drumright to our law enforcement, police department, and other law enforcement partners, so that they can coordinate the best route, the best plan in the interest of public safety.
Mr. Drumright, are you still with us?
Yes, I am, Mayor. I want to share that I did actually start with the chief of police as an initial point of contact, who referred me to Mary Fawcett and also referred me to you all to take up this matter.
We appreciate it. I think our history has been that we do not vote on something that's not on our agenda, that's brought up the night of the council meeting. We'll move it to next month, which would be past the time that you need to do this. So I believe I'm going to ask the council what they think. I think that we need to move it to the police chief and let them handle it. And I think they can handle it properly for the safety of all. What does everybody else think?
What day is October 31st on?
It's a Saturday.
Yes.
What time are you talking about this event taking place?
Starting our marching at 11 o'clock and concluding it between 1 and 2 o'clock.
Where are you starting, sir?
We would be starting at the Wayman Chapel AME Church. They're on Highway 87 North Main Street. And we're going to march downtown through the Court Square. We're going to convene a short rally there at the Court Square and then move people to the voting polls on West Elm Street.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
South Main Street has a lot of traffic. I mean, NCDOT, I mean, they would need to be involved in this decision too.
Well, they would, but
I don't even think they have sidewalks there, do they?
That's what we are wondering, if there are enough sidewalks to even.
I don't even think there is sidewalks.
No, there's
Section.
very little sidewalks from 85 up to Court Square. There's one sidewalk, but
yeah, well, Wayman Chapel's up on towards the other end of town, and those sidewalks are very small. You know, and I know, and you know, somebody's going to be in the road. If this is going to go on, we need to move him to the police chief for some safety reasons.
I agree, Mayor. This DOT's got to be involved in this. The police need to be involved in this. Not that I wouldn't like to help them, but.
And when you like, how would the parking and all that go? Because there's going to be a lot of people trying to vote there at the polling booth as well. Have you worked that out at all? Like how people can get to the polling booth?
Yes, Councilwoman, we are still working those details out, and to the pro tem's comments and the mayor's concern, which we take in respect of the spirit that they have been expressed. We started with the chief of police, as we did the last time, for this to be a communal planning effort. In July, we sat down across several meetings with the Graham Police Department and members from the Alamance County Sheriff's Department, which, to their credit, is why it went so well in July, because we were able to coalesce around all of the details of it. And so that's why we reached out to the Graham Police Department and Sheriff Terry Johnson again, so that we could build community around this event. So the parking, there is parking where we're starting. People will be walking mostly, but there will be folks that will probably be seeking to park somewhere closer to the voting polls. And we hope to work with the city officials, the police departments as well, to iron out some more details.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, North Main Street's awful narrow. There's a lot more narrow than Hardin Street.
It is. It truly is. But we need to help Reverend Drumright one way or another. I don't think it's a.
I'm not against that. I'm just looking at logistics.
I know, but we do not need to act on this as far as the council goes. We need to do a formal motion for him to go to the police chief. And because she sent them to us, because we no longer have a ordinance in place because of our lawsuit that we suffered through the NAACP. So we do not have an answer for him. So we need to make sure that the police chief accepts him and makes plans for this.
I agree.
Let me go to the staff. What do y'all think?
Mayor, you're correct. The ordinance that empowered the police department to grant permits for parades and demonstrations no longer exists. So Chief Cole, when initially approached, she was thinking to herself, I don't have authority to tell you yes. So which a natural reaction would be to go through an event process. I'm not a great event planner. It's probably very difficult for 5 elected officials and some community input to plan an event here on the fly. So therefore, it seems to me to promote public safety would be to let the law enforcement community, particularly our police department, coordinate with Mr. Drumright or anyone else that may have a similar event.
Let me go to Brian. Brian, can we do this with a consensus?
I'm sorry, say that again, Mayor.
Can we do this with a consensus instead of a vote?
You mean a consent? I don't think the council really needs to take action on it at all. I think you're doing the right thing by asking Reverend Drumright to talk to the police department and coordinate it with the police department.
Okay, let's, Reverend Drumright, if you would, sir, let's call the police chief again and let's include the fire chief because he ran the strike teams for medical for you. I think they had 3 of those. So let's include him in that, and then we'll include one of the staff from the city and do it that way. Is that all right with you, sir?
Yes, sir, Mayor. I might add that we intend to convene another safe and stellar event.
Yes, sir.
And I want to thank you all for all the consideration that was given prior to and tonight. Thank you for your public service.
Yes, sir. Thank you for being here tonight. Jeff, have you got anyone else?
No, sir, not at this time, Mayor.
Then I'll move to the council. Let's see if anybody's got anything. Let's go to Aaron first. Aaron, have you got anything to add?
No, sir, Mayor.
Nathan?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
I need to look at all the pictures, make sure I don't miss anybody. Darcy, have you got anything?
No, sir.
Frankie, have you got anything to add?
Just briefly mention something that was already briefly mentioned tonight, and that was the announcement by UPS today and their commitment to bring a $250 million investment and 450 plus jobs to the community. This is, like I mentioned a couple months ago in our meeting, the largest economic development investment in the history of the county. It really is a big deal for the future employment and the future tax base of the city. And I want to extend my appreciation to you guys for the support, to our staff who participated in the recruitment process, and our partners with the county and city of Mebane.
Good deal. I wrote that off of my stuff to say. All right, Melody, have you got anything to add?
No, I was just going to add a kudos as well to the staff who have worked so hard on this project. I think it's tremendous. We've done something extremely well. Also want to mention, in case none of you have seen them yet, I know we got information earlier regarding the opening of Passion restaurant. There's also been a florist now that has opened in the back of the building where Shamrock is. And then I've received word recently that Little Brothers will actually be the new name of Beer Co. So we've got, in the light of very difficult times, it's some very good news to hear some great economic development.
Thank you, ma'am. Mayor Pro Tem, if you got anything?
Just a thank you to Frankie's staff and to all that helped bring UPS to us. It's a really big deal. I'm excited about it. Thank you.
All right, next in the line is Brian Coleman. Brian, have you got anything?
Sir, nothing.
Ricky Hall.
I got 2 things.
Yes, sir.
The first thing is thank you to the staff and to Frankie for bringing this project to the city of Graham. It's going to be a great event for all the citizens. Secondly, my question is, as the stop sign speeding issue along Pomeroy been looked at?
I'm sorry, the stop sign where?
Potential 3-way stop on Pomeroy Street where?
Pomeroy and Water. There's Pomeroy and Water. And Hollis Street comes in there too.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Frankie had an update, but I did reach out to the police department the end of last week, and they informed me that they were still working on that. They hadn't finished it up yet, unless they reached out to Frankie and told them that they had.
No, that's correct. They have not formulated a recommendation yet. I do believe the data collection is complete, though.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ricky. Jennifer, have you got anything?
Just want to remind everyone we're trying to promote a local campaign here to basically thank first responders. They have had a tremendous amount of stress put on them, and the work requirement that they've had to undergo in the last 6 months has been, and they have not failed to show up not one day. They have showed up every day, and they have worked so hard. And I am a big flag waving supporter of our law enforcement, and we're going to try to promote do a big push on social media over the next that I hope the city will help participate in. Maybe Mary can share it on the city website, but to really try to promote pay it forward and get back. I want people in this community to get back to where we were before I will tell you that there is not a single day that I do not walk into my restaurant and I do not have someone that has paid for a meal for someone else. It's just something so simple that somebody can do. And if you see a law enforcement officer out, I just encourage you to do something nice, tell them thank you, do what you can to support your local first responders, buy them lunch, buy a complete stranger lunch, pay it forward. And I really hope that we can encourage that for this month going into this election. Do something positive in your community to unite us. And I really hope you guys will join me in trying to do that, and post online that you bought somebody lunch, and that will encourage other people to buy people lunch. And so hope you guys all work with me to try to support our first responders. They have a very difficult job, and we love them very much for it.
Thank you, ma'am. As a retired firefighter, I know I've had that done for me before, and I appreciated it deeply. With that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank everybody for being here tonight.